Lads. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sheffield United Way YouTube channel. My name is Nick, and on the other end of this line is Mr. Hal Stewart. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, because I'm wearing one of my favourite Everblade shirts.
The Batman Begins shirt.
That's the Badger, yes, yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yes.
Long-sleeved as well.
Ooh, that's a bit different. Just show us your laver. Just caught a bit of the yellow for a second. That's what we like to see. We love a bit of Arnold Laver on this channel, don't we, Hal?
Absolutely, yes. Proper sponsor.
Proper sponsor. Anyway, shall we run into this video? Because I think everyone already knows what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about John Lundstram and everything about what's been happening with him at Sheffield United before that. And obviously, he's just signed for Rangers. So this video isn't just for Sheffield United fans, isn't just for Rangers fans. It's for everyone. It's very inclusive. So, okay, Hal, do you want to start talking about before his 4-year stint at Sheffield United?
Yeah, we actually had a guest on one of our fans' forums, a guy called John, and he was a former referee. He actually refereed at Everton when John Lundstram was in his youth career at the Toffees. And I remember him telling me, before we even signed John Lundstram, there was a lad called John Lundstram at Everton who really stood out. And that's in an Everton youth setup, which, as you know, had some pretty good players. So he was kind of on my radar from as far back as his Everton days, which is where he started. He had loan spells at Doncaster, Yeovil, Leyton Orient, Blackpool, Scunny, Oxford. Then, of course, he joins Oxford permanently. He signs from there for Sheffield United. We were perhaps thinking squad rotation player, maybe someone that will fill in if there was an injury. And that's pretty much initially what he proved to be. And now, here we are with quite the story behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all thought with Chris Wilder, he signed a lot of players. The season he signed Lundstram, he signed a lot of players, and a lot of them didn't amount to much. We had Ricky Holmes, we had Ryan Leonard, there was Lee Evans. I think he was just before that, but lots of midfielders, and not a lot of them are remembered as kind of being Sheffield United legends. I'm not saying John Lundstram is, far from it right now for Sheffield United fans.
He's certainly going to be remembered, though, isn't he? You might have thought when we initially signed him, this will be like, because Lee Evans is going to be forgotten about in probably 10 years. I think Blades fans are going to remember John Lundstram for a long time, and not always for the right reasons.
Yeah, definitely. But you've got to say, out of those 4 players I've just mentioned, he's the best. He's the best out of those. Like, he's gone on to do really, really well for us in the Premier League. And like, yeah, fair enough, it might have only been for a couple of months. He had a purple patch early on in his Premier League career. And yeah, fair enough, you can say, we'll get into it as we go along, but you can say a lot of things about Lundstram, but he's definitely done better than most of Chris Wilder's signings, really. Anyway, you've got to say, we've been through Chris Wilder's signings. We know there was a lot of dross in there.
But there were some belters as well, you know.
Oh, come on. You know that I'm not saying that he's the best we've ever signed or Chris Wilder's ever signed.
No, but I think it's right that we go back over that point, because I don't want you to get a load of hate in the comments. And I now know exactly what you're saying.
No. Well, yeah. You've got to be daft if you can't understand what I'm saying, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I do now, yes. Not that bit. You sounded a bit too young for me there, and I've been a curmudgeon since I was 30.
Anyway, let's move on to John Lundstram's career. So, more talking about his Sheffield United career. So, first season, 2017-2018, 40 big appearances, Hal. 3 goals in there. That's in all competitions. So I think there are about 34, 36 games, something like that in the league. That is a hefty amount games, and that was in the Championship. And I think a lot of people will remember the reason why he played so many games in that season was because Paul Coutts got injured, and he was obviously drafted in as kind of a replacement for Coutts. I think we'll probably get onto that more in a little bit, because a lot of fans didn't like him at that point because he wasn't Paul Coutts. And we remember Paul Coutts as being this great player that never gave the ball away, sat quite deep. And Lundstrom's not that sort of player. He's not a defensive midfielder that's just going to sit. He likes to get forward. He likes to get back earlier on in his Sheffield United career. But he did okay. But I think a lot of people in that first season expected him to be Coutts, and he wasn't that player. So 18-19 season, Hal, what happened then?
Well, he didn't play as much, did he? I mean, it was only 12 appearances, no goals. This, again, is in all competitions. And really, I think you and I would probably have said, if we were reviewing the season straight after that, John Lundstram would have been most likely on his way, because he seemed like he lost his way and certainly fell out of favour. And that was because of the form of other players that had come in after John Coutts had come in for... Sorry, John Lundstram had come in for... John Coutts. Because a combination of Coutts and Lundstram...
I was going to let it go then, but then you brought it up. So, yeah.
It didn't work. Paul Coutts was such a key player, and you made the point that it was only really when we lost Paul Coutts that we realised that's a position that is not going to be able to be filled by someone already at the club. This is a really hard position to fill. And John Lundstram, when he was signed, I think we thought he was a defensive midfielder. I think he thought he was a defensive midfielder. And actually, like you said, it proved over time he was much more attacking, until last season when he was neither attacking nor tracking backing.
Yeah, I like that. Zero goals in that season as well. He just, I don't remember him playing 12 games, really. I think they were probably mostly sub-appearances. Moving into the Premier League season, like you said, we probably expected him to get moved on. But he did play in pre-season, and I think we saw from there that Chris Wilder was probably going to play a different formation, because he played way more than I expected him to. I think we all expected to see that attacking midfielder, that Duffy role, if you like. And obviously this was possibly just before we knew that Duffy wasn't going to be at the club or not going to be playing any games in the Premier League. But in the 1920 season, 36 appearances in all competition. That's really good to say that we got him in from a League One club in Oxford. 36 appearances, 5 goals in all competitions. It feels like a lot more than 5 goals, in all honesty, because that first half of the season, he was banging goals in for fun, kind of doing the whole Frank Lampard coming from deep and making that last ditch kind of run into the box and finishing off some good goals. Really, he was excellent in the first half of that season. Probably more 2 or 3 months, which 2 months should I say? Because 3 months is the first half of the season.
I think 3 months is fair. I think it's time paints a funny picture, and the longer you go on, players that were good become great, and players you've decided you don't like now get worse. And if we're being realistic, he was very good for 3, maybe slightly more months, but not more than that. And you're absolutely spot on. I recall being surprised by how well he played in pre-season before our first Premier League season. I was pleasantly surprised, though. I mean, he earned his starting place after Duffy left. And really, as a football fan, you just say to a player, go out and earn it. And he did. And he kept performing pretty well for those few months. And we were all really, really surprised.
Yeah, and I think you've got to say, I know none of us expected to see him start the first game of the season kind of after not playing not really much of the first the season before. But he wouldn't have got into that side. He wasn't good enough to play in that Championship side because of the system that we played. For me, he wouldn't have. That Ollie Norwood kind of, he was instrumental in the season that we got promoted, and Lundstram wouldn't have done that job anywhere near as well. So the reason why he played so much in the Premier League is because we changed our formation completely in the way that we played, and he was perfect for that right-hand side of midfield role, getting forward, getting back like Fleck was doing as well. Obviously, Ollie Norwood sitting a little bit deeper. But I still feel like John Lundstram is perfect for that right-hand side of midfield role if you're playing three midfielders as we did. And I don't think a lot of clubs play the way that we did. So for me, John Lundstram is still perfect for that role.
And
go on.
Well, why I say like you can't really just say 2 months is I remember the last game I went to, that Norwich home game, March 2020, Berger left on the bench, Lundstram playing instead, and playing really well. And that's the last time I saw John Lundstram in the flesh. So I am not painting the second half of that season with a brush of he was terrible, because the second half of the season started before the lockdown.
Yeah, I think you've perfectly got into what we're going to be talking about next, which is what went wrong, because that Sander Berger signing definitely was one of them, one of the reasons. But before we get into that, we're going to speak a little bit about the Euros, I think, because we've not said anything on this channel about the Euros. I've got the England shirt on. I absolutely loved, well, it's not the England shirt, it's the training kit, but this should have been the away kit because it's an absolute beauty. So shall we talk about it for a second, Hal? England, we've done really well. We haven't faced a lot of great teams, but we've put them all away. Well, except for Scotland.
Yeah, that's just to keep the peace. But can I just tell you, Nick, I'm not very well. It might be serious because I've got Euros fever. I'm sorry. No, I'm just absolutely wrapped up in it. Look, see what I did to you. You might be coming down with a touch of it as well. I am so wrapped up in this. You've seen my tweets and how much I'm getting into this. I love tournament football. I've watched every game with my eldest nephew. He watched the last game, the latest he'd ever stayed up, clinging on to me for the full 90 minutes, just held onto my arm because he was so excited and he'd never seen a commanding, dominating performance like that from England, the one we put in against Ukraine. Fantastic.
Yeah, there's a real big reason why we beat them 4-0, though. That was because Ukraine can't defend crosses, whether they're corners, whether they're free kicks. They just let players just stand there and head the ball in the back of the net. So
we've always said that on this, haven't we? We're often having a go at the Ukraine and Ukraine, not supposed to say the Ukraine. I got told off about that at work. Ukraine and their defensive frailties. Yeah, you can't move on this channel for that. But we were great. Harry Maguire deserves special mention. It was fantastic to see Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Harry Maguire and Kyle Walker all on the pitch at the same time. The only other player that's come through the Blades Academy, admittedly from another club in the first place, that actually played some minutes at this Euros was David Brooks. So let's give them all special praise. And they're not the only ones there, of course, with Aaron Ramsdale on the bench. Another player that's graced beautiful downtown Bramall Lane, Connor Cody. I'm proud of all of them.
Yeah, how many have played for Sheffield Wednesday? Ross Barkley. Oh wait,
he's not going.
Chris Waddle. Wait, he's not there. No, and he missed a penalty for England.
I saw Tango was at Wembley.
Tango was at Wembley. I hope he's okay, because last I saw him, they were like sprawled out on the hoarding. So hopefully Tango is okay.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want people to be hurt, do we? Let's be honest.
No, I hope he's all right. That's great. So he's there representing Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh yeah, it has been absolutely brilliant, and not just England, like you say. It's been such a great tournament, and it just caps it off the fact that England have done so well. Beating Germany as well. You can't say that every game that England have played has been against a poor nation. We beat Germany, I would say, convincingly.
Yeah. I agree with that, and that's the first real test, and we've deserved it. We earned the right to get where we have. People say it was a slightly easy draw in the end, but you can only beat the teams in front of you. It ended up looking like we actually had a really tough group. Czech Republic exceeded expectations, Croatia as well, and we didn't even beat Scotland, as you mentioned. It was a tough group, far tougher in the end than the group of death, Group F. They're all out. Exactly,
mate, because three of them went through, didn't they? And they're all out. So what does that say? Anyway, so buzzing, absolutely buzzing. It's coming home. It's absolutely coming home, and I want you to say it, Hal.
I am not going to say it yet.
Say it.
I'm going to say it after a final where England might or might not get to.
You can't say it's coming home after after we've won the final.
I'm not going to count any chickens.
You'd say It's home.
There's no chicken counting yet. You're not getting me to say it. You know I don't even like doing predictions when we're doing our match previews.
It's coming home. Say it.
It possibly might be returning to its original place of residence. That's
no.
all I will say
it.
at this
That's
stage.
Not good enough.
Don't stop forcing me. You know what? If we lost now, people would look at it as that. I've not said it, and I'm not saying it.
I've said it forever, mate, and we keep winning. So keep saying. I'm going to keep saying it.
You say it for me. We're good. We're covered.
I will do. Anyway, talking about the Euros as well, yeah, I think we need to go on to talk about today's sponsor, because the Euros are all about bragging rights and showing pride for our country. Yes, it's coming home, Hal. It's coming home. Anyway, yeah, I went out and got really drunk on Saturday night watching the boys bring it home. And that's what it's all about, going out with your mates, everybody supporting the same club, the same country. Because there was two Sheffield United fans, a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and a Forest fan. Where would you get all three of us out together enjoying football anyway?
Yeah, and supporting the same team. It wouldn't happen any other way.
Exactly. And what else we need to support is the channel by going over to manscaped.com. That's what we like to see. So with the help of today's sponsor, Manscaped, you will definitely be showing pride in England. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to stop doing that. With Manscaped, you can now trim up your personal pitch without the fear of whacking your balls, Hal. Unlock that confidence and join the movement with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with TSUW at manscaped.com.
Yeah, Manscaped is changing the way men approach grooming with their Performance Package 3.0. This is a men's bundle, and it includes the Lawnmower 3.0, Weed Whacker, Performance Boxer Briefs, a travel kit, and formulations to help you upgrade your grooming game. The Lawnmower 3.0, it's the Harry Maguire of defense, because the third generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. This is thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. There's even waterproof technology, and I really like this, Nick, an LED light, so you can groom in the dark or in the shower, and that reduces a lot of tidying up as well.
I have groomed in the dark as well using Manscaped. Yep, I have.
Good man.
That's what I love to do. Groom.
I haven't done that yet. I've done it in the daylight. Nick and I are using these products. If you've been held back from nose hair before, perfect solution. That's what the Weed Whacker is for. You can do your nose, you can do your ears, trim the hairs there. It's got the same Manscaped skin-safe technology, which helps reduce risk. You won't get yourself cut there. And don't forget that this bundle comes with Crop Preserver. That is, I'll just tell you what it is. I'm just going to be honest. It's ball deodorant. An anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, and a crop-reviving ball toner. A toner for your testes. That's infused with aloe vera, or as we say on this channel, halo vera. So support the show and check out the legends of Manscaped.
Yeah, and I shared a room with my mate Ben at the weekend, and I went in the shower, came out, and he was like, "What is this?" And it was ball toner, and I explained to him, this is Bew. It smells really nice as well. Do you know what's the best thing in the world, Hal? I'll tell you what's the best thing in the world. Spraying it on your knackers and then putting your knackers in front of a fan. I did that.
You mean not me?
No. No. I didn't mean a fan of the channel. I meant an absolute a fan that rotates.
Good.
Because I've been, yeah. It's good. It's good stuff. Anyway, so yeah, go to manscaped.com, enter the code TSUW for the Sheffield United way, get 20% off. You know you want to. It does help the channel a hell of a lot, doesn't it, Hal?
Yeah, that's a really great thing to do to help us so that we can keep bringing you this content for free. If you get some stuff from Manscaped, you'd be helping us, and you'll be actually getting some quality products. So it's kind of win-win.
It is, absolutely. And 20% off is a massive, massive amount. Anyway, let's move on to talking about our best mate, JL7, Hal, and what went wrong for him.
I might go as far back as, well, that 𝐚𝐽𝐽𝐸 injury we've already spoken about. He came in and he couldn't do it. He couldn't fill the
I think we may have lost Hal.
Who knows what would have happened in terms of promotion? It might have been a season earlier. But anyway, that was where you could go back. It was assumed by most of us, I think, that John Lundstram would be on his way. If it wasn't in that season where he played 12, it would be the season after he proved, he couldn't fill those boots, or the season after we brought Ollie Norwood in. That would have been his third season. But we didn't sell him. Now, had we sold him back then in our promotion season, we'd have got a fee for him, Nick. And that's something to consider, because he's gone on a free transfer, 27 years old, prime of his career. And then, of course, we had the signing of Sander Berge. And I think you could argue, as I was talking about that Norwich game, that really rocked the boat for John Lundstram. And possibly his mind was made up as soon as he saw someone coming in after he'd had the season of his life.
Yeah, absolutely. The Crystal Palace away game as well. I'm not sure if you spoke about that just then, because I don't know if I lost you or other people lost you or whatever, but that Crystal Palace away game when everyone was singing Sander Berge's name, it must have felt bad for him, because let's be honest, Sander Berge did not hit the ground running when he first signed for Sheffield United, and it wasn't the greatest performance against Palace. So him watching the fans singing Sander Berge's name, making up a new song for him, because we didn't really have a John Lundstram song. I remember some people singing, I can't remember what it was now. I remember Johnny and his mates singing it on Shore and View on one of the vlogs, but it was a shocking song. And it just didn't really have a great song. And Sander Berge's was incredible. So it must have felt bad for him, that.
Yeah, the fans taking to Sander so quickly as well. Talk to me about the Bournemouth winner celebration.
Well, I found it a bit weird. It was the tequila song. That's it, Andy. That was it, and it was a terrible song. It just was. Against Bournemouth, obviously Sander Berge started, played most of the game. John Lundstram came on and scored the winner. Everybody going crazy. What a great finish it was. Lee Mousset into John Lundstram. Quick pass onto his other foot, and then bottom corner straight past
Aaron Ramsdale.
And he ran off, and you expected the crowd. Well, the crowd were going crazy. You expected him going crazy, all the players going crazy, and he was like pointing to himself, like, "Look, I'm here. This, like, why are you not singing my name?" And it didn't feel like he was like he'd done that for the team. It felt like he'd done that for himself. It didn't sit right with me, in all honesty, mate.
I know what you mean with that, and I think you could probably see maybe some of the early writing on the walls. As fans, we perhaps should have seen it. We didn't. And then, of course, the contract rejection. Now, I'm just going to say something. This might sound controversial, but maybe if Chris Wilder hadn't been so honest, because he always was. I'm one of Chris Wilder's biggest fans. This isn't a dig. But perhaps if he'd never told the fans what was going on behind the scenes of John Lundstram, we wouldn't have noticed the performance drop off as quickly. We would have noticed, but we certainly wouldn't have noticed straight away, because I think some people found performance drops where they didn't exist.
That's a great point. That is a really good point. Like I said, I do think we'd have noticed, but not straight away. Fans will have been watching him like a hawk after that. And really, that's always been one of my pet peeves with Wilder, that he did used to tell us everything. And sometimes I've known people who work for the club that have told me things that I didn't really want to know. This player isn't bothered. This player's not doing this. And I don't want to hear that thing. I'm a fan after all, and I don't want to hear some of my favourite players that they're not bothered. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you and I, we're not in the knowers, but we get told a lot of things in the know, and we choose not to share that stuff because we don't always believe it's in the best interest of being in the public domain. And I think some of this stuff that came out about Lundstram wasn't particularly helpful. Do you think the Rangers deal was something he had in place early, which is why he was seemingly so relaxed about not signing what would have been an extremely lucrative contract offer?
Yes, absolutely. We've spoken about this on this channel before, haven't we? That he got his head turned. That's the reason why he didn't want to sign. And really, we were a Premier League club at that point, and really, why would you not want to sign another contract? A big jump up as well, because we've heard numbers banded about, and it sounded like he'd been given a massive bump up in pay. And the thing, what a lot of people said was, if he'd have signed that contract then he would have earned an absolute ton of money by this point. So it does make me think that Rangers said to him, we're not going to pay any money for you, but if you want to come and play for us, you're already kind of not number one on Sheffield United's list of central midfielders, because he probably weren't going to play in front of Sander Berge if he didn't get that injury. So, yeah, I think it was put out there that Rangers were interested a while ago, and I don't know where that came from, if that was leaked or whether people had just put two and two together because of Steven Gerrard and the fact that Steven Gerrard knows John Lundstram as well, because he's come out and said that, Steven Gerrard, that he's known Lundstram a long time. So I don't know whether people already knew or whether it's just a bit of an educated guess.
Worst kept secret, this Rangers thing. But, not being able to agree terms and not wanting to play for the club are two entirely different things. We now know that Lundstram was offered that deal by Sheffield United, and Chris Wilder claimed it would have made him one of the highest paid players at Bramall Lane. But as Nick suggests, possibly Steven Gerrard, Lundstram's boyhood hero, had a whisper in his ear. And Gerrard has said that Lundstram will add steel and presence to our midfield along with his quality, which makes our squad much stronger. And to procure a player of John's profile and experience is very pleasing. And Ross Wilson, Rangers sporting director, said, John was a major transfer target as part of our squad plan this summer. So naturally, I'm delighted that he becomes a Rangers player.
Yeah, and that brings us perfectly on to talking about positives and negatives of John Lundstram, because we may have Rangers fans in the chat right now. We may have Rangers fans watching this when it's not live anymore and it's a video. So I think we need to do is talk about his positives and negatives and actually be honest about it, because I know it's easy to say he's got no positives, we hate him and all that lot, but he does. He really, really does. Like I've said already, I think that he's perfect for that three-man midfield when the left-hand midfielder and the right-hand midfielder are getting forward and back, forward and back. I don't think many clubs play that, but he's got a lot of great things to offer. Like, for us, obviously, when he was actually cared, or it seemed like he cared, he was very, very good at that kind of Frank Lampard-esque kind of ability to arrive in the box late and score those goals. And he even did it at some points last season, as in the 2021 season. Right at the start of the season, you might remember when we played Leeds, he missed that really, really good chance where it just fell to him perfectly. And then obviously the keeper guessed the right way. I think that might have put a doubt in his head that not everything he touches goes in the back of the net, because it certainly was the season before. But that's what he's great at.
Last season, he had 20 shots, from midfield. That's pretty good because he was arriving late. That's what he does.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's such a Frank Lampard-esque thing to do, because there's not many midfielders that do that. There's a lot of attacking midfielders that kind of sit around the edge of the box looking for a long shot or something like that. A lot of midfielders kind of push themselves out wide, but there's not many that get into that box and try and score goals. And it's definitely something that Lundstram does. He definitely gets stuck in, whether he does get a bit hot-headed sometimes, and obviously he got sent off this season or last season, just gone. He's certainly got a great engine. We know that. Fair enough, last season he wasn't tracking back that much, but we know he can do it. I'm sure he will do it for Rangers, because let's be honest, I think that he down tools a little bit, and I think a lot of Sheffield United fans know that. But he does have that engine. We have seen that in the past, where he gets forward, gets back, gets forward, gets back, and he doesn't tire. He really doesn't. And finally, he's two-footed. Not as a tackler. Well, yeah, maybe as a tackler occasionally, but he is two-footed. I've seen him so many times picking that ball up from one side of the pitch and smacking it the other end of the pitch with his left foot. Now, not a lot of players can do that. Not a lot of players can shoot with the left foot. Never mind hit a 30, 40-yard ball across the field with his wrong foot. So he's got a lot of good strings to his bow, Hal. What are the negatives?
Well, you talk about his tackling. I mean, some of his tackle attempts last season weren't great. He attempted 59. He was only successful with 25 of those. That's only 42%. He committed quite a lot of fouls, for the games he played, 24. You mentioned that red card. You and I have our own opinions on that red card. We won't get into that again. Brighton away. He did have his head turned, and you suggested there that some fans have called him out on that, saying he downed tools. Leeds away is a really good example. Southampton at home. If Rangers fans want to see any highlights from that, they will notice a player that wasn't tracking back like he had been the previous season. So some of the challenges dives into unnecessarily. Sometimes he doesn't track back if his head's not quite.
Or it's half-hearted. Half-hearted attempts.
Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. And one thing that really annoyed you, and you brought it up on our watch-alongs, and once you started bringing it up, I really noticed it, was that it was like he was trying to shoot from everywhere and barely ever hit the target, never mind scoring, last season, which was something we hadn't seen from him before. And what we need to find out is, was last season an anomaly because he knew he was going? Or was last season a sign of John Lundstram as he reaches his 28th year?
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. In all honesty, I think he was down in tools, and I was thinking that he must know something, because there's no way a Premier League club playing how he was, the sort of form that he was in, would take him on. So he must have known something. And to me, he must have gone to Steven Gerrard and saying, by the way, I'm not really this bad. I do really track back normally, because who would look at his performances for us last season and think, yeah, that's who I need in my team? And going on talking about the shooting as well, it almost felt to me like he was like, I don't care about Sheffield United. If I play a through ball to that player there and then he scores, he's got all the glory. If I hit one straight in that top bin, then that's going to be a match of the day. Everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to think, what a great player I am, because you only see the highlights, especially for our games, because they're usually right at the end of the match of the day. So all you'll see is John Lundstram bending one in the top corner, and he's the hero.
Yeah, and he was great at fantasy football in a previous season, that first season in the Premier League, which I think drew a lot of international attention to him, where people hadn't heard of him before. It was purely because he was listed as a defender. So what do you expect for Lundstram in the future? And then we'll go through some tweets.
Yeah, I think Lundstram will have a brilliant season next season. I think he has to prove that he's good enough. Playing for his boyhood hero, Steven Gerrard. Let's be honest, he's most people's hero because he was such an incredible player, Steven Gerrard. And yeah, playing under Steven Gerrard, he's kind of a similar player to Gerrard in my eyes. Well, when Gerrard was younger, obviously getting forward, scoring goals, getting stuck in. I think he's probably moulded his footballing kind of style on Steven Gerrard. So he's going to want to do everything he can possibly do to impress him. But not just that. Like I said just before that, he's not going to want to be a one season hero. And really, let's be honest, he's going to be playing Champions League football, whether it's just going to be kind of the initial knockout or the group stage or whatever. He's going to be playing Champions League football, and he's going to want to better himself in his career. So I think he's going to put everything into it. And I think John Lundstram that puts everything into it is going to do well.
I agree. I think he has to, because he's got a lot to prove now. He knows the relationship's been soured at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane. He's got to play well, because a lot of Blades fans will actually be keeping an eye north of the border to see how he does. Let's have a look at some tweets. Ollie McBurney, pal, has quote tweeted the transfer and said, "Things you love to see. What a man, what a player, what a signing." Ollie McBurney, of course, supports everyone, including Rangers. So what do you make of that?
First of all, I didn't see it for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah, he's blocked you, hasn't he?
He blocked me.
He loves me.
No, yeah, he blocked me because I just criticised him, because that's all it takes to block someone these days. So he must have got 50% of Sheffield blocked then, I reckon.
Just be nice. Just be a nice person.
I wasn't being controversial. I was just being honest. Anyway, let's move on. What things you love to see, him moving away from the club that Ollie McBurney plays for.
Stupid
bit weird.
Stupid thing.
What a man. As all Sheffield United fans don't like him because he down tools.
And McBurney
what
will
a
know
player.
that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. What a player. We've not seen that for a good season, if not season and a half. What a signing. We'll see.
We will see. Oliver Burney, I still think you're brilliant. Just don't block me as well, because then we'll have no way of knowing what you're tweeting.
Well, it can block you as long as you don't block the Sheffield United way, because what he doesn't know is I can see everything.
Oh, that's true. You can if you go and log in on that. Yeah, and do subscribe if you haven't yet. Subscribe. Do follow at Sheffield United Way on all our social media accounts. Now, Curtis Woodhouse, who's still yet to be a part of this programme, he's had the invite. He says, he will do well, but he completely downed tools at Sheffield United, which doesn't quite sit right. But he's a good signing. I mean, there's quite a bit to unpack in there. Curtis never sits on the fence.
No, and I agree with him. I really
Actually,
agree.
He would sit on a fence if that fence was outside the house of someone who'd insulted him online. He'd sit on that fence and wait for them to come outside.
Right, well, we're definitely not getting him on the channel now, are we, Hal?
That's famous.
Come on, anyway.
That's well known.
I know. I agree with everything that he said. I think he will be a good signing. I think the Scottish League is quite obviously not as good as the Premier League. I'm not going to say it's terrible, because it's really not. There's some great players in Scotland, but it's not as good as the Premier League. And I think he'll do well there. I think he'll do really well. Like I said earlier, I think he'll put everything in. He definitely won't down tools for Rangers, unless somebody else comes in for him and then he decides to down tools again, which I could see. I really could see.
I'm just going to race through these now. Our friend Darren Smith has said, John Lundstram seals a deal that explains why he didn't want to re-sign with the Blades, playing for his mentor. Big city atmosphere, full houses, medals, Champions League, no relegation pay cut, no slight on us at all. I wish him well. I have to say that's very sensible. Nick Godbahiri, I don't know if that's his real name, if it is. Godbahir, Nick Godbahir.
I know Nick.
Well,
Nick.
There you go. It's a great surname. Quality-wise, he's got it all. I would be very happy Rangers fan with this news. Simon Gibbons has said, I know I'm in the minority, but I'm sad to see Lundstram go, but we've definitely had our money's worth out of him. That is an interesting take.
I'm not sure about the first bit, but definitely the second bit. I think we did. Yeah, we stayed up, didn't we? And that was Lundstram. He was kind of like, I think that his goals kind of gave us the confidence to go and beat more teams. So that's a good point. That is a good point from Simon.
Yeah. Some real sense being spoken. Deck72 wouldn't go as far as best player from Sheffield United, not even top 3, but he's a good signing. Ross Bateman, he played the majority of the games when 𝐻𝐽𝐽 was injured, and we dropped off in form dramatically. He just couldn't play in a 2 at all, hence why we bought Evans and Ryan Leonard to replace 𝐻𝐽𝐽 and then eventually Norwood the next season, which is something we covered, and Ross is absolutely right. Will says he might be able to do a job for them with the right attitude. Not an awful free transfer, but I don't think he deserves to have moved to a top club so quickly after last season.
Agree. And can I ask a question? What you think of this, Hal? I've only just thought of it. Do you think that Rangers are paying him the amount of money that we were rumoured to be giving him as kind of like more money?
I thought of that earlier. I think he'll be on probably slightly less than we were going to offer him, but I think the Champions League football and the Steven Gerrard factor and playing for a club as big as Rangers will really be a huge draw for John Lundstram. And I can't blame him. I wouldn't have done it, and I also would have given every ounce of sweat and blood and tears that I had in the final few months with Sheffield United, but we're different people.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, I know you're saying that because you are a Sheffield United fan, but as well,
I am a bit, yeah.
I think most people would do it anyway because it's their job. And really, if anything, you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of the world, really, especially when you're playing in the biggest league in the world.
No, but I also know people in my own professional life that have agreed to join another company, or in my case, station, and have had to sort of do that kind of 3-month period of sticking around at the old job. And I've seen them not giving as much. And I think that might actually just be, in some cases, even if they don't mean it, it might be a little bit of human nature, and it might almost be impossible because your mind's already on the exciting new chapter.
Yeah, another quick one. Do you think we'd have cared this much if we would have been as good as last season? Sorry, the season before.
No, it's a great question. I know exactly what you mean. And if we could have gotten away with Lundstram as almost like playing with 10 men at times, we would have still been annoyed because all of us Blades fans would give everything to be out there. To see someone not giving everything would have been infuriating. But you're right, it wouldn't have been the subject, which it was after almost every game. The first half of the season, it was if Ramsdale made a good save, everyone had to say Ramsdale made a good save. So it didn't feel like anyone was getting on his back. And then the second half, it was all about Lundstram. Is he in the team? If he is he going to put a shift in? And when he wasn't in the team, each game, it was like, please, let's hope he's not starting. And Paul Heckingbottom eventually left him out right towards the complete end of the season. And it stopped being such a big subject.
Yeah, completely.
John Gray, I wish him well. He was poor this year and let himself down a bit, but he wasn't the only one. He did give us some brilliant memories in our first year back in the Premier League, though, has good energy and athleticism and can affect games. I think he'll respond well to Stevie G.
Can I jump in here and say, Hal, you've definitely picked a lot of very nice ones here. I definitely saw some not as nice ones.
I'm picking random ones.
I thought you might have picked some good ones and some bad ones, but they all seem to be good.
Oh, well, all right. I'll give you one final one. Burkill says if he puts the effort in, he's a good player, good with both feet, times runs well, good passer. His issue is he thinks he's better than he is, tries to shoot from distance. There we go. Lost track of the ridiculous left-footed efforts from range, slow to track back at times, believes his own hype.
Yes, Burkill. I love that. Strong. But you started off with he puts effort in. He's a good player. He's good with both feet. So really, that that kind of negativity is laced with a lot of positivity, really, because he said some really nice things about him first. But yeah, you've definitely picked some very, very nice ones there, Hal.
Yeah, Roscoe's dad says stop talking about him, giving him more press than he deserves. I think on a video about John Lundstram, we possibly should mention him, but thank you for the feedback. And finally, rumour has it Slav is actually looking at Hal to replace John Lundstram. I think my best football days long behind me. I'm pushing 40.
You are pushing 40, Jesus, mate.
I know, right? Will I still be allowed on YouTube? Are you allowed on YouTube once you hit 40?
No, I think it deactivates your IP address.
I think that's only fair. Only fair.
Oh God, I'm not that far behind you. Let's be honest.
When I was a kid, I wanted to mess about on computers because I was a bit of a nerd, and teachers always said, "No, get outside. Your eyes will go square. Get some fresh air." And I don't know anyone now who is making money from playing British Bulldog, rounders, skipping and climbing trees. I should have stayed in and learned how to use computers. It would have been much more useful. So there you go, teachers of the past. That'll learn you.
That'll learn you, teachers of the past. Sorry, I went full Southern then. Right, I think we should leave it there, seeing as though we don't want to give him any more press, do we?
Nope, that's it. We're done. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, John Lundstram, for the good times. And I'm sorry it didn't end the way you'd probably have hoped when we first signed you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. To be honest, mate, I think that's it. I don't really think there's much else we need to talk about. He's gone. We needed to do this video because we are a Sheffield United channel, and John Lundstram has been a big talking point for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever. Even before that, when he was actually good, everyone was talking about him. So I can't remember the last time we weren't talking about him. So it feels like we needed to do this video. We needed to kind of talk about it. And really, we also want to give Rangers kind of an idea of what they're letting themselves in for.
Spot on.
So there we go. So, yeah, thank you, Hal, for being here as always.
Just laughing at that blocked comment. Yes, very, very grateful for having me on. We will do more videos kind of looking back over everything that's happened transfer-wise, incomings, outgoings.
Absolutely. And, thank you, Nick, for being here. No problem, mate.
Yeah. Thanks, Nick. Yeah.
And we'll see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.